Hello, everybody. You might go, what are you talking about? Scarlet 20s. I mean my decade. Which is ironic since I'm wearing a Flash shirt. But, Scarlet 20s is the 2020s. Basically, 2020 AD to 2029 AD. That is the Scarlet 20s. So, from the first day of when it started, that New Year's of 2020 of when it started, to the New Year's or the last day of 2029. Okay? That is this decade. Now, the name that I'm giving this might not age well or get popular, but I think it's really just because it's probably going to be a mostly in-decade thing. You know, each year has its own thing to bring, you know? Like, each year brings a new era for a decade, you know? Like, when you're talking about the 80s, which part of the 80s? Are you talking about 1987? Are you talking about 1988? Or are you talking about 1980? Just to get specific, because, you know, each part of the year had its own thing to bring. Same thing with the 2020s. I mean, yes, there are a lot of good and bad things that come from this decade, whichever you want to view it as, a good or a bad decade. Anyway, this decade does have a vibe. However, it is separated in two ways, either black and white or in full color. It's like, you know those TV shows where it's like, this show that was in black and white is now in color, in like 3D. Come watch now, Gunsmoke, or something like that. But yeah, that's basically what it feels this decade right now. There are some words and some things that I just know that are definitely going to stay within this decade, you know? But still, very much so, I think, or whatever. But the reason why I'm calling it the Scarlet 20s is because, one, it separates it from the 1920s, which was the Roaring 20s. Scarlet comes from the Flash, and it's the nickname because, well, I kind of like it, and it fits like a glove. You know, he's the speedster you usually think of, not the Crimson Comet of Earth 2, you know? So, Crimson Comet is speedster from Earth 2. But anyway, yeah. So, there's that. And then the 20s part, I think it's obvious because we live in the 2020s, but calling it the 2020s doesn't make really much sense because, well, to put it simply, it makes it sound very, not talkable. I don't know how else to say it. Well, anyway, but yeah, it just doesn't make it interesting, you know? It doesn't have that feeling of, oh, we're in this era. It just feels like, oh, we're in another century kind of thing, you know? Like saying the 2000s. If you ask me, I would say the clear 2000s. But it does kind of make sense to call it the 2000s because it's the first decade of the centuries. But then the 10s, I would call it the glowworm 10s, you know? The glowing 10s, that's what I would call it, something like that. But if you ask me, at least by my decade standards, which is when I'm releasing this video, which is on the same day I'm releasing this video, if you are watching this, that means you are in the Scarlet 20s, guys. It's the Scarlet 20s, guys, now. Get used to it or die with it. Get colorful or get black and white. If you can't, then you're dead. If you're not dead, then oh well. Might as well go for the older styles if you want to. I don't know. It's your freedom, I guess. And then whatever the 30s will become. I'm not sure. Well, anyway. But yeah. We're in the, Scarlet 20s. Great. What do you do about that? Well, 3 things. 1, whatever this decade's got. 2, It's whatever story you want to make with it. And 3, it's really just up to you. Whatever your parties for the 2020s may look like may not be accurate to it, but hey, at least you got something for this decade. Well, anyway, yeah, welcome to the Scarlet 20s. And I'm specifically coming from the year 2025 AD, if you want to be specific. Took 5 years to do it, but we finally did it. We have our name. We have our name now. Anyway, see you later, suckers. Bye.